I guess I gotta wait. Okay, there we go. I guess it's gonna wait until I talk. There we go. So I can mute myself and read the comments at the same time. Alrighty. I am on probably right on time. So that's a good thing. What's going on? Um, Happy Sunday to you. I put this live stream on my calendar probably about 30 minutes ago. So if you follow this channel and you miss it, you are welcome to catch it on the replay. All right. What's going on, Howard? I see you. I see you. Today, we are talking about some recent developments in the Turning Point USA versus Candace Owens conservative faction rift. And I guess recently, Turning Point USA invited Candace Owens to Arizona to debate all of the Nancy Drew super sloop stuff that she's been kind of putting out there post Charlie Kirk's death. And it's interesting, because the first thing I thought about in my brain is, oh, they're going to Charlie Kirk her. And they're going to use that moment to Charlie Kirk her. Because if you look at some of the things that Candace is claiming, right? She's claiming that, the French government has a very low amount on her head. Like, damn. Like, I mean, in the broad scheme of hit jobs and high profile hit jobs, that's a pretty cheap hit job, but she is just a conservative commentator. But, anyways, automatically when I saw this, I'm like, they're trying to figure out a way to get her ass Charlie Kirk. And, Candace has been on the mic defending her friend Charlie, defending his honor. Again, I had my little opinions about their friendship, right? And you can look at my other videos to check out that opinion. But Candace has been going hard for Charlie. She has been going hard for Charlie. And a lot of people have argued that she has been going harder for Charlie Kirk and trying to get down to the bottom of the who and the why harder than his own damn wife, harder than his own damn organization. And when you kind of peel back the layers of some of the things that Candace Owens is alluding, it's not far fetched. It is not far fetched at all. It's not far fetched. I mean, when you start connecting all those dots that Candace has connected, and see, the thing is with Candace Owens that people have to be very conscious of is that all Candace Owens is going to do for you is connect dots. She is a dot connector, okay? She is connecting dots, and she's throwing out questions and rhetorical questions, to get people thinking about something in a broader sense. And so what she does isn't necessarily terrible all the time, but everything that people do have to come with an intent, right? And so every step of the way with Candace Owens over here, we are questioning her intent and her motives because we know that Candace Owens can be sold out to project things, to say things. The Black community, we are testimony to that. And she even testified on so many different slick ways that is why the Daily Wire put her on, which says a lot about them Zionists and how they be projecting about Black people. But we're not going to talk about that today. But anyways, what's going on, Aaron? What's going on? Is it Erica? That's an interesting word. I don't know if I'm saying your name right. And Gilbert. So we're talking about Candace Owens, right? Now, they invited Candace out there. They done invited Candace out there to debate all the things that she's putting out there about Turning Point USA. All right? Now, Candace is not a dummy, right? I'm sure in the back of Candace's mind, she's like, this is a hit job. This is a way for y'all to Charlie Kirk me, or it is a way for you guys to ambush me with, Erica Kirk and sympathy junkie things. And I think that's really what it was. I really think that Turning Point USA invited Candace Owens out there. They wanted her to physically be there. It was really necessary for her to be physically there so that she could get ambushed. And Candace is smart enough to understand when the lineage of evil people sometimes are going to ambush you. And so Candace, obviously, she's talking about this invitation on her show, right? And let's see what you're saying, Candace. And this is just fair usage, girl. I am just going over how they tried to ambush your ass so that they can Charlie Kirk you. All right? Let me see if I can turn this up.
To respond. Like, what?
So she's talking about how I've been putting out all this stuff about Charlie 3 months. 3 months. And y'all take 3 months to respond, but then y'all want me to show up like this. Why? Why?
Seriously, what? Where did this 24-hour thing come from, and why was it necessary? The second comment, this user writes, Tyler Robinson can appear in court by video conference, but Turning Point USA says Candace cannot attend their debate by similar means.
So Turning Point is like, and this is suspect, right? It's suspect, right? Because they're like, we need you to be here, like physically, right? We need this debate to physically happen, right? And this guy is like, how come Tyler Robinson doing video conferences for his court trial, but Turning Point USA is like, we physically need you to be here. Now, the outcome of that invitation, and Candace is going to say it, is they backed out of the whole thing. They backed out of the whole thing because they know they weren't, and I'm gonna kind of go into what they claim was the purpose of that debate. And my whole thing is, if that is the purpose, and this is what you guys are planning on doing on December 15th with or without Candace, then it really should just go, right? If you're going to be rebutting everything that Candace say, Candace doesn't need Turning Point USA or anybody from that organization on her show to put out all the shit that she's saying. So they don't necessarily need Candace to say, we don't think she's right, and here's the reason why. Right? It took y'all 3 months to calculate a plan and a response to everything that she's saying off the fly. Candace is getting information and spewing it out. Hey guys, I connected another dot. Guys, I got another thing on my timeline. Guys, right? Turning Point USA is like, fuck, she got another item on the timeline. How are we going to address this, guys? Just ignore it. Maybe people will think that Candace is crazy and they won't believe her. And god damn it, that's exactly what they was over there thinking at Turning Point USA.
Yeah, guys, we are starting to notice some things. It's weird.
So let's get to Turning Point USA because they got a caller.
You try to use
in the Charlie Kirk show.
Influence the public. You get like, Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake to wear your denim. Everybody just then starts wearing denim, right? And I will add on to this that
okay, I'm gonna have to skip you, girl. Let's go to Turning Point.
I'll break.
Here we go.
Hey, thanks, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My heart's broken with the things that are going on with Candace. And I'm trying to make it all come together. I'm sure I'm not your only fan that is trying to do that because of the relationship that she had with
And this
Charlie.
is just fair usage.
And one thing that I'm just trying to make come together in my head is why the invitation was extended to Candace, but not to Candace directly. Blake, I think you tweeted something out, and I don't know if, I don't know what's truth and what's not, but I do know that she said she didn't even see the invitation, and it was issued, Blake, I think at 12 on a tweet that you had, or at midnight, 12, not noon. Midnight. And so it was like 9 hours later before she even knew that you said anything about her attending the show. And then she's saying she can't attend in person. Can she attend on a live stream or,
right.
And you guys do live streams all the time. And is that going to be an option?
Of course, Gina.
I'm just trying to make this come together.
Of course, Gina. So first of all, our initial statement, it was on the show on Wednesday. I made it at the request.
And this is just fair usage. All of this has
been at the direction and approval of Erica.
So he's saying that Erica Kirk is the one that want Candace to come out. And I mean, it kind of I can kind of get that. I mean, shit, Candace is over here talking about my man. She talking about the organization that we trying to make money from, right? That's not going very well. And Candace even talks about Turning Point USA's stats right now that Charlie Kirk show is not doing very well. And the more Candace talks, the more that show doesn't go well. So obviously there's ad revenue that they're not getting, and if you have the same target demographic of people in that conservative base that was riding for Charlie and Candace is saying, hold up, this organization that Charlie built and you guys are riding for, it turned on him. It Julius Caesared Charlie because he changed his position, after he turned down the donors that he was taking, you know. But, so Candace is even going as far as encouraging people to get their refunds, to get refunds. So she's directly cutting into Turning Point USA. So it appears through her rhetoric, she's a real threat to that organization because now she's cutting into their money. And when you're cutting into people's money, they're going to try to Charlie Kirk you. Okay. And I think this is a lot. I mean, a lot of that probably is a setup. Candace knows any invitation that she takes from Turning Point USA at this point in the game, she might as well just walk into her own assassination. I mean, and that's just what it is. Candace is not stupid. She knows that she has said a lot of shit that has pissed off a lot of people. She has said people's names by name as she's connecting dots and putting them under a microscope, people that don't probably necessarily want to be, under a microscope, right? And then she has this audience of super sleuth people who are just eating it up. And these happens to be people who were prescribing to Turning Point USA. So I don't think the organization is doing very well. And I said this before after Charlie Kirk passed away. I was like, the organization, even though there is a great interest to have that organization survive, right, by Zionist Christians and Jews, right, because they understand the influence that organization has had, I don't think that organization is going to survive because a lot of those individuals that's prescribed to Turning Point and MAGA, they don't prescribe to American Zionism. And if that is the accusation that Charlie Kirk was turning against Americanized Zionism or whatnot, then yeah, the other white people that prescribe to MAGA and Turning Point, they're gonna unsubscribe. And then that's when you're really going to be able to see what the real MAGA movement look like, that, oh, we've been hijacked by Zionists, right? And that's basically where Turning Point USA is on a lifeline, because the psychology of that base is becoming more and more anti-Zionist. They are pro-America, and the more they see Turning Point USA going into that Zionist territory, the more they're going to unsubscribe, the more they're going to listen to Candace. And let's just face it, Candace's show is doing way better than the Charlie Kirk show. And the reason why the Charlie Kirk show is not doing very well is because Candace is running her mouth right now. All right. So I think that she was very, very smart saying, no, George said no. And George should have been saying no to a lot of shit for a long time. Not to be funny, but Candace Owens is not a traditional wife. I've said that before. No traditional wife will put her family and her kids in danger for these affairs of men. And even if you think that you are fighting for your country, honey, your country has been successfully hijacked, successfully infiltrated. I'm just waiting for the Lord's judgment day. Personally, I don't give a fuck about anything that happens on this earth. I'll just deal with the impacts and ask for God's strength to carry me through these affairs of these demon-inspired humans. But anyways, what you talking about?
Because she heads this. And so what we were announcing there is we said, she has said things that are not true, and we did not address them for a long time. We stated the reasons why, that we thought a lot of them were just not, how to put it, we initially just thought no one would believe a lot of what was being said. And we also just, we remembered the same friendship that Charlie had, and we just hoped that this would go away without requiring any sort of.
That's some bullshit. Candace has been laying it on thick ever since Charlie passed away. I mean, she's been really calling people out on their lies, right? And to me, it's like, for you to think that Candace Owens was just going to let this go, and she just saw one of her best friends, arguably, or a good friend, just get taken out of the game in front of everybody. And 9 times out of 10, Candace is taking Charlie's assassination personal on a lot of levels, because I feel like partly she feels like it was a message to her. And the reason why she is do or die, I feel like right now, is because she knows if that happened to Charlie, she's probably next on the chop block, and she's not really giving two fucks. At this point, Candace Owens is planting seeds. So they need to get Candace out of her damn house. They need to get Candace in a scenario where they could Charlie Kirk her, in my opinion. So Candace, you better keep your ass in the house with them kids and George, and have a couple of AKs, get some drum kits, and just make sure you turn your house into a German. You know how the people in Germany, they build their houses like bomb shelters. She better make sure that her house is built like a German house and not one of these American houses. What's going on? So, hey, hell yeah, keep talking. What's going on, Delvin? But, let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that Candace Owens, this invitation from Turning Point USA, was an ambush? Put a 1 in the chat if you're following this live stream right now. If you think that Turning Point USA invited that girl out there, or like this video, if you think that Turning Point USA invited that girl out there to ambush her. And even if the ambush wasn't to take her out the game, I think that if you put Erica Kirk with those dreamy blue eyes and all that makeup, and her playing the grieving widow role, right, in front of Candace, who is dogmatically trying to find justice for her husband, who was viciously killed by somebody that they said turned, radicalized on the left, right? The shit don't add up, right? And I think that even though Candace could double back a lot of shit on Erica, like, why am I going harder for your man than you are? How are you just moving the fuck on and not really even second guessing what the hell really happened to your husband behind what the FBI is feeding to you? And, shout out to Fred Hampton. He recently had a birthday. The FBI took him out the game, right? The FBI take out revolutionaries, okay? They took Malcolm X out the game. They took Martin Luther King out the game. Now, white people, y'all got y'all Malcolm X and Martin Luther King too. Charlie Kirk, okay? Charlie Kirk, he was your champion that was taken out of the game, okay? But they always do this. So hell no, ain't nobody believing what the FBI is saying. I definitely would be more inclined to believe Candace Owens, even though her ass can sell out, right? Before I believe the FBI. And that's just real. That's word 100. Because they going to just sell us a bag of lies every time to cover their asses or some rich and famous person's asses that was at the root of something devastating. But anyways, you guys, let's go on. What you talking about, Candace?
Direct statement or confrontation from us. So,
yeah, Gina, I'm sorry, we got to hit a radio break.
Yeah, they had to hit that radio break when the old girl, the caller on their live stream, called and said, well, why can't Candace just do this virtually? Why are you guys demanding for her to come in? And then you talking about integrity. And then Candace calls out that Andrew Kovac is not even in the studio. This dude is remote somewhere. So why the hell are you pressuring me to be up in that studio when half of y'all don't even want to be up in that studio? And I'm pretty sure Charlie's ghost is like, get the fuck out of my studio. Like, I want this show to fail, right? Charlie, if I could really think about the spirit of Charlie Kirk right now, if I could just, I don't do that. I will never do that. But I'm just saying, if I could tap into his spirit right now, I'm pretty sure he doesn't want any of those people in his studio. I'm pretty sure that Charlie knows that those people saw that Israeli donor money going out the fucking door because he was changing his position, and they were like, oh hell no, because if the Jewish money go out the door, then that means that our bottom line, our operation, our salaries are not going to be the same because they're a nonprofit, right? But they still have operational costs, right? They got operational costs. And if their donors are pulling their donations, the operational cost goes down. So Charlie talking shit about Israel and questioning Israel, that shit was not going to fly for their donors. And they proved that with their money. But Charlie and Turning Point, they have such a huge following that it really, the reason why I think that Charlie was really trying to reevaluate the finances at Turning Point USA is because he knew he was going to have to bring down costs. He was going to have to bring down costs because he was going to stick to his guns, his convictions, and he was going to go the other way. But the other people in that organization that stood to profit from them donors and changing operation costs and bringing it down, that I don't think that that's something that would have flew for people who were profiting from that organization, from those donations. And so, yeah, Charlie was a liability to the future money that Turning Point could have came in. And why? Why is Turning Point USA so important? Influence, 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 influence. Okay? Influence. Influence can be paid for. Influence can be paid for. And Turning Point USA had a influential base on lock. But they could not let that influential base turn anti-Zionist. So they had to sew up Charlie, right? And now Candace Owens keep yip-yapping about Zionism and Israel and Charlie's position and who was responsible and all the events surrounding Charlie before he had his untimely demise, right? She's connecting all those dots. So now everybody's looking like, yeah, it looks like, Turning Point USA and their Israeli connections took Charlie out the game to maintain the influence of his organization. But again, you can kill a man that built something, but you can never maintain what he built. When Charlie Kirk died, Turning Point USA died. And no matter how much they try to prop Erica Kirk up to be this face for the organization, at the end of the day, most people are not going to give a fuck about Erica Kirk. She doesn't have a dynamic character. I don't care how blonde and beautiful subjectively people think she is, right? You're supposed to be a traditional wife with your ass at home grieving with your kids, not all in front of the public fighting for shit. You ain't Joan of Arc, okay? Right? And it's like, it looks like you were vying for your husband's position, right? You were in the shadows of a great man and you can't take it. It's that Aisha Curry effect, you guys, the Michelle Obama effect. These women who aspire to have their own greatness, but they're in the shadow of a great man. Am I saying Erica Kirk had anything to do with her husband's death? I don't know. I really don't know. Is there instances where a woman could turn on her husband? Of course, we see it all the time. You know who we were just talking about the other day is, what was the chick's name? Lorena Bobbitt. Anybody remember Lorena Bobbitt? I guess I'm aging myself. She was the chick, I guess her husband cheated on her, so she cut off his penis and threw it in the river. Bitches are crazy too. Bitches are crazy too. You said pop a perk for Charlie. I don't do Percocets. I don't do none of that stuff. But if you want, I can go pop a mint leaf from my herb garden. I mean, that's really a tasty treat anyways. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. I think Candace Owens understands the plot, she's not taking her ass to Turning Point USA to get ambushed. She's not. She's not. And even with the picking apart, like, I don't think that Turning Point USA will do a good job at debating Candace Owens on the things that she has put on the table. None of those people look articulate or smart enough to do that, unfortunately. They always trying to say black people, we not articulate and all that stuff like that. Y'all need to look at some of y'all own people. They're not the sharpest tool in the shed. They're not the best debaters at all. They're manipulators in the rhetoric at best. And if you're smart enough to know that, you can chew their asses up. So Candace Owens would chew those people at Turning Point USA up. They will go gang on her, ambush her. It will be them against her, right? And they would need to do that because they're not going to be able to hang with that bitch. Like I said, I don't care for how Candace Owens has gotten her coins. And I think that deep down, she's a self-interest person, right? She does things, she pushes the needle, but the bitch is not dumb. She's not dumb. She's not dumb. And she understands how to work these people that she has been exposed to. And I respect people like Candace Owens because you're not just in the snake den, you're knowing how the snakes work, operate, and articulate so that you can go to war with them. So Candace is definitely equipped to go to war. And if all is fair in war, she'd ether those people. Okay? She'd ether those people. And that's just the realest shit of all. And I'm not saying it because she's a black woman. I'm saying it because she's an intelligent human being with a warlike spirit, and she will eat those motherfuckers up. Turning Point USA need to just take the L on what the fuck Candace is saying. And just be like, you know what? We're going to let Candace talk. But at this point, we're done with it. We're not going to say anything else. We're moving on from Charlie's death. And if Candace wants to continue to point fingers at us and do all this, she can. Because again, if they're smart, they would know that all Candace can do is connect dots, point illusions and fingers and all that stuff. But she doesn't know shit definitively. And that's the whole thing. But the thing is, the power in the reasonable doubt that Candace can raise for Turning Point USA is that she can fuck with their coins. She can mess with their coins. Anytime Candace is outright telling people not to prescribe to Turning Point USA to get refunds from Turning Point USA, now she's really asking to get taken out of the game because you messing with people's money. When you start messing with people's money, that is when you really will get killed. They may not have cared about anything. And note this, mark my words, y'all. Y'all got to go back to my video because my words are always marked and true. But mark my words on this, right? Turning Point took 3 months to respond to Candace Owens, right? She done said all this shit about, Charlie Kirk, my calendar, connecting dots, the timeline, all that shit, right? It isn't until Candace Owens, she had this emotional live stream, I think last week, right? She was very emotional and she was just like disappointed and she just felt like people were lying and stuff. And she was very, very emotional, right? And she's telling people to get their refunds and don't prescribe. And then Turning Point is going to feel that, just like the Daily Wire felt it. Like, don't act like the Daily Wire has not hurt ever since Candace Owens left. Don't act like that Daily Wire crowd that even Steven Crowder was trying to get, they did not hurt after that woman left, right? So it tells you that when you're dealing with dynamic, powerful people like Candace Owens, right? And you think you're going to screw them over and do all that weird shit, right? They could fuck your shit up. And that's why TPUSA, in my opinion, is trying to ambush that woman and take her out of the game. They invited her to an ambush. And they might have even invited her to an organized hit by the Macrons that she's been talking shit about too. So Candace, again, and here's the thing, I I don't wish ill upon anybody. I don't wish ill upon Candace Owen. I think it would be a big mistake, um, culturally and socially, if there was a conspiracy to take Candace Owens out of the game and it was successful. That is a race war that will start, because a lot of people don't realize that even though black people, like, you're not going to make set examples out of black people, right? That's one thing we won't tolerate. Even if it's Candace Owens, right? You start setting examples out of our people, that is really bad retribution on your people. And so who knows? Who knows? But Turning Point USA, it's never going to go well for people to go against the real Hebrews. But anyways, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Sunday. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that they were inviting her to an ambush? Or, do you think that they were really trying to bring Candace Owens in there to have a civil debate about all the Nancy Drew shit that she's been talking about on her show? It doesn't really paint their organization or the people in it in a good light. Because if you just believe all the dots that Candace is connecting, it will look like the conspiracy to take Charlie Kirk out of the game was within. But anyways, you guys, thank you, Howard, for coming in. I see Olive in the house. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do I see, let me see, go down. Walton, I see you. This guy, I am not a guy, I'm a woman. Papa, I ain't gonna read that. Charlie changed the game. Of course, Charlie changed the game. Charlie definitely changed the game, because he was, like, honestly, I cannot think of, outside of an overt white supremacist who has captured the hearts of white Americans in a very organic and not even like overtly racist, even though Charlie Kirk was on a racist grift. But again, Candace and Charlie both knew that they had to play the race card in order to get their coins, in order to build what they wanted, right? And after they played the race card, right, Charlie, to me, really, he was talking about black people, right? But at the same time, he was talking about black people in the same damn context that Candace Owens was talking about black people. And arguably, he was working off of black conservative talking points when he was referencing black people. You know what I mean? And again, it's a grift, right? They all recycle the same type talking points because they're on a grift. But I said it before, I don't think that Charlie Kirk was even a racist guy. He could have been, but I don't think he was a racist guy. And I do organically think that at the end of the day, Charlie knew that Candace Owens cared deeply about him. And I think at the end of the day, Candace was probably one of the only people that Charlie could trust, with a lot of stuff, right? And I think Candace actually knows more than she's saying. But, I think that when you put all your cards on the table, right, it doesn't give you much leverage to fight with, right? Sometimes you got to let snakes reveal themselves and just say shit and then put shit out there. I think that Charlie knew that something was going down, just like Candace knows that something is probably going to go down with her, right? And I think that they were smart enough to information share. I think that they were smart. They're smart people. There are people that they trust. There's information out there that is just waiting to be revealed, waiting to be leveraged. But anyways, you guys, have a wonderful rest of your day. Love your neighbor as yourself. Oh, one more thought. I want to say this, and people may think I'm crazy on this, but just watch the developments. If you are a believer in the ancient texts, the scrolls of remembrance, or as those say, the Bible, and if you're a person like me who is very interested in Bible prophecy, both, past and present and future, right? I want you guys to watch the trickle down effect of the United States involvement with Venezuela. It's really important that we understand these wars and the possible trickle down effect, because we think that the United States right now is just picking on Venezuela, right? We are not associating with the United States picking on BRICS nations, right? We're not associating that, okay? And maybe they don't want us to. But when I see the United States picking on Venezuela to try to imperialize their natural resources, right? I see them picking on Russia. I see them picking on China. I see them picking on a lot of the volatile Eastern nations that have come into alliance. All right. And so, just like with NATO, if you attack one, you attack all. I want people to think about BRICS like that. They are not just an economic alliance, and that's what they don't want us to know. BRICS is not just an economic alliance. They are the NATO of the East. And so we're fucking with Venezuela. I just want you guys to know we're not just fucking with Venezuela. And that's just my opinions. The United States government probably knows this as well, if there's smart, intelligent people in there that are not nepotism babies and can use their own fucking brains, right? We got a lot of nepotism in the United States military, so we're going to be fucked regardless. Anyways, as a past soldier, the United States reopened our jungle school in Panama after being shut down for 2 decades. Oh, I really feel like we're going to get busy, right? I think that, past military folks, present military folks, they know what time it is. They know what time it is. They know what time it is. So, what's going on, Brian? I see you. I see you. So, if you missed this, you guys, if you missed this, please catch it on the replay. Catch this live stream on the replay. I am very, very random, but if I do post, if you hit that notification button, if I do schedule one, you'll get the notifications that I'll go live. But I like to chop it up about things that are happening in the world, because some of it is comical. Some of it is just predictable. But one thing I will say, there's nothing new under the sun. But anyways, you guys have a wonderful Sunday. Love your neighbor as yourself. If you would not disrespect or abuse yourself, do not disrespect or abuse your neighbor. It goes down to treating people the way that you want to be treated, loving your neighbor as yourself. So if you love yourself, have any respect for yourself, extend that courtesy to other people. It's usually people who don't love themselves, who have not learned to respect themselves. They have not manufactured value internally, that are out here just being rude and obnoxious in these streets. And I pray for everybody that they get them demons out of their soul. Bye.